and today we are going to be talking about the herpes zoster disease, which is also called shingles. Shingles is caused by the varicella zoster virus. It is a double-stranded DNA virus that infects a variety of host tissues and is characterized by a lytic and latent cycle. The varicella zoster virus is transmitted from human-to-human contact. This can be physical contact, and it can also be through airborne transmission when a person coughs, when a person speaks. And the CDC says that for every person if a person is infected with the virus, 90% of the people that come in contact with that person get infected with the virus if they themselves are not immune to the virus already. So it's pretty infectious. The varicella zoster virus has two manifestations in the way. The first being chickenpox, which we are going to talk about quickly so that we get an idea of how the varicella zoster virus goes on to its second manifestation, which is my disease, shingles, the disease that I'm talking about. So let's get to it. We have a small trigger warning here. We have chickenpox. So we can see that chickenpox is secluded in its own individual pocket, which is going to be important when we compare it with shingles. Chickenpox consists of an itchy red rash that breaks out on the face, scalp, chest, back, and to a lesser extent, arms and legs. The spots quickly fill with a clear fluid, rupture, and then turn crusty. So, what did I mean by what I said of how chickenpox goes on to shingles, to be shingles? Well, it is the same virus, but once the body defends itself from the varicella zoster virus through its manifestation of chickenpox, the virus goes into dormant mode. It activates latency and stores itself away in the body. Where in the body? In the ganglion. The ganglion is basically a clump of neurons that's job is to communicate information between the nervous system, which is mainly in the spinal cord, to the brain. Another small trigger warning. Here we have shingles. Like I said, it's quite different from chickenpox. It is more of a rash, and it is clumped up into many little pores. The CDC says that it is a painful rash that develops on one side of the face or body. Different civilizations have come up with descriptive names for shingles. They all kind of point to the same direction. Well, for example, Arabics have said that it means, they named it a certain way, which means belt of fire. The Hindus named it in a way that means big rash. The Norwegian civilization named it in a way that means hell's fire. And the Spanish named it culebrilla, which means small snake. A complication of shingles, which is very common, is post-therapeutic neuralgia, PHN. And this is the most common complication of shingles, like I said. The condition affects nerve fibers and skin, causing burning pain that lasts long after the rash and blisters of shingles disappears. How long, we could ask? It's actually up to 90 days after the rash has disappeared that PHN can still be active. That excruciating pain, which is very, very bad, affects that person. Here we have a visual of how the rash affects the nervous system. Here we have another visual of how the virus stays dormant in the main parts of the nervous system. And then after it stops being latent, goes back to the surface and manifests itself as shingles. Why should we care about this disease? It is still a global health issue. So, an important part about shingles is that it only manifests itself when the person infected has a low immune system, a weak immune system, or that person is immunocompromised. So usually people, after they reach a certain age, usually around 50 years old, as we're going to see in the study shown later, start to develop shingles. But people much earlier, around their 20s, 30s, around those type of ages, who are immunocompromised, start to develop shingles. So, we can look at the number of cases for smallpox. Chickenpox. When we look at the number of cases for chickenpox, which in the past years have been around 150,000, it's much better from years prior that have been around 4 million according to CDC, and has improved because of the vaccines and other treatments that we have come up with. When we compare those to shingles, which are around 1 million, it's a big difference. This is mainly because the vaccines against chickenpox do not prevent the shingles infection. Actually, the vaccine against chickenpox can lead to the infection of shingles, because that attenuated virus that is put into our body because of that through the vaccine can itself lie dormant and then manifest itself through shingles later in life, because those same varicella zoster virus antibodies do not protect us from shingles nor NHM. Yet there are vaccines that protect us from shingles, but these vaccines have not been widely implemented. Shingles is very unpredictable, you could say. Dr. Edgar Hope Simpson said that herpes zoster is fascinating because it arrives unpredictably and is difficult to explain. Like I said, it develops after a person has a lower immune system, but to what extent that immune system has to be lowered is not known, or what circumstances actually cause it to develop. For chickenpox, there's actually a season in the year that is more common that people develop chickenpox. For shingles, that doesn't happen. It can be any time of the year, which just adds to this unpredictability. Here's the visual, which I was talking about earlier. You can see that around the 50-year mark, shingles starts to grow rapidly. In any part of the world, this disease starts to grow, which shows that at the end, it's the low immune system of the people that have this infection that cause shingles to come up. So the prevalence of PHN among different age groups is important because it's a complication that comes up with shingles, which is very worrisome, like I said, for health professionals because of the pain that it causes them. And people who develop shingles earlier in life from immunocompromised diseases don't tend to develop PHN as often as people later in life who, after their immune system has been more weak because of age, develop PHN more commonly. Treatment for shingles is very varied. The principal goal, of course, for shingles is to reduce pain or eliminate it completely. And this can be done through antiviral therapy, anti-inflammatory therapy, and all different types of treatments. But for PHN, it's a little bit more complicated. According to this study, no actual treatment has been evaluated for PHN, but several methods are still used. Topical lidocaine, gabapentin, tricyclic antidepressants. But yet, no PHN treatment has actually been found. A homemade treatment for shingles has come up in recent years. The use of honey has had significant effect towards antiviral zoster virus activity, which is pretty good. and it's convenient for people who do not have access to medical treatments in hospitals or in more advanced clinics. And like I said before, the vaccine for shingles is available, but people who are around the age that need it, above 50 years old or even older, have not come to use it as often as other age groups who use chickenpox vaccines or other vaccines, mostly because it hasn't been implemented into our healthcare routine. It hasn't been asked for people to take it, but it would be a huge benefit for people to use this help that has been proven to be very effective, up to 50% for zoster and 65% for PHM. That's it. Thank you.